Truth. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast.
Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. On this week's episode, I'll be speaking with Jeffrey Burton and Tamara Caldwell. If you remember the interviews I did with Quincy Cross, John Poole, who happens to be Jeffrey Burton's uncle and private investigator, Noble Faulkner, Quincy's private investigator, and Joe Kern, the father of Jessica Kern, the murder victim in this case, Jeffrey and Tamara are two of Quincy's co-defendants. On August 1st, 2000, at the Mayfield Middle School in Mayfield, Kentucky, the partially clothed, burnt body of Jessica Kern was discovered. Tim Fortner was assigned to be the lead investigator on the case. He was quoted as saying, "I didn't have a clue what to do next. I have no idea how to organize a crime scene or look for forensic evidence." This is from an article written by the New York Daily News titled, "Justice Story, Murder in Mayfield." It has been reported that Jessica Kern was raped, bludgeoned with a wrench, garroted with a belt, then doused with gasoline and set on fire. Jessica had given birth to her son Zion months before her life was tragically taken. To get a more in-depth understanding of what is said to have happened during this homicide, go back to the November 9th and November 16th, 2021 episodes and listen to my interview with Quincy, John Poole, Joe Kern, and Noble Faulkner. There's been a lot of doubt with the convictions in this case, those who've investigated it, and the evidence or lack of evidence for that matter, as well as evidence that was suppressed during the trial. Here's my interview with Jeffrey Burton and Tamara Caldwell.
My name's Tamara Caldwell, and how I believe I got mixed up in this case is because of my cousin Victoria Caldwell said that somebody told her that I pushed my grandmother down the steps. That's how I believe I got involved in it.
Just because it was she was mad and wanted to get back at you, so this was a
Yes.
perfect opportunity?
Yes.
My name is Jeffrey Burton. And from, I guess, March, maybe February or March of 2007, somehow the KBI came knocking at my door with some crazy story or something. And they this is what it turned into. I don't know how. I don't know. So, but that's when it really started for me.
Tamara, being that Victoria is your cousin and you guys talk a lot now, do you know why Jeffrey was brought into this? Because from what I understand, it wasn't Jeffrey Burton at first, right? It was a Jeffrey, I forget what the last name was, but Burton wasn't the first name or last name correct at first?
Right.
Do you know how he might, do you know how his name might have been brought up?
I have no idea. I don't even know how he got into this. I have no idea.
Did either of you have any type of like relationship or affiliation with Jessica prior to July 30th of 2000?
I knew of Jessica because I lived here and she lived here too. I knew of Jessica. I didn't hang around Jessica now because I was older than them and I had kids. I didn't go out like that. I didn't mess around like that.
And I didn't know her at all. I'd never met her, never heard of her, never knew her. I knew a Joe Marshall. I think at one time I went to school, that's her brother. But I never heard of her, knew her, met her, nothing.
I know we're going back 21 years now, and I don't know if detectives asked you guys or not, but going back to July 30th, 2000, can either of you recall, anything that you guys did that day or the events, or I don't know if they, dug deep into that, back then?
Let's see, back in 2000, I was had a 2-year-old and just had a baby, a newborn. So I wasn't doing nothing. I was in the house.
Like Andrew, I didn't, you asked me about a particular day 21 years ago, or at the time when I first got brought into this in 2007, which would have made it 7 years after, I don't know where I was at that particular day or whatever day they say. I thought back trying to see even if I had at that time, if I had a driver's license or not, because there have been times when I was younger where I did have one and then where I didn't have one. I can't confirm if, what job I had because I work on and off. So, I don't even know, at that time, if I wasn't working, if I was working, or, I don't know. And I think that's part of, I don't have an alibi, so.
Did both of you learn of Jessica's death, being that you guys were, locals in the area?
I learned that she was that they had found a body behind the middle school. I was in this supermarket up the street from where I live at now in Food Giant. And then I came home because my mother had traveled to California to see my brother. And Victoria's mother, Wanda, was keeping an eye on me because I was pregnant and had a 2-year-old until my mom could get back. So that's how I heard about it.
At the time, did Victoria know about this, or did she ever mention anything about it or anything, before all this came to light?
No, because she didn't. They were always running. You would hear from them 1 second, and then you wouldn't hear from them for like months.
And Andrew, I don't know where I was at when I first heard of it. I'm not sure, man.
The original 2 suspects that were arrested 2 years after the murder of Jessica, Jeremy Adams and Carlos Saxton, did either of you know them or of them prior to July 30th, 2000?
I don't think I didn't know Lolo. And even now, I don't think I really know him, but I kind of know who he is. And I mean, I know him a little bit now, but I didn't know him. Jeremy Adams, I knew him, but I don't know other than that.
Was it just like an acquaintance? You just knew of him. You weren't like hanging out or anything, or?
No, me and Jeremy never been like friends or nothing like that.
I knew Carlos. Yes, I did know Carlos prior to this because Carlos is the cousin of my little girl at the time. And Jeremy, I knew of him, but I didn't hang around with none of them.
So after the evidence was mishandled in both of those cases, both Adams and Saxton, they're released from custody and all charges are dropped. And a couple years later, 7 suspects emerge, the 5 convicted plus Austin Leach and Isaac Benjamin. Tell me about the investigation into both yourself, Tamara and Jeffrey came about. And this is when you can talk about, from where you first when you found out you were a suspect to when you were arrested and being interrogated, so on and so forth.
I first found out about it. My mom called me, and I had just got out the shower. My mom called me. She was like, "The police are coming to your house. The state police are coming to your house." I was like, "What for?" And she was like, "I don't know. They wanted to talk to you." So I sat outside on the porch and waited on them to come because I was like, "What's going on?" And they didn't bring me my rights or nothing. Told me I need to come with them. I asked them where I was going. They told me, we can't tell you that. You just need to get in the car and you need to go with us. So they took me to the jury suites. This was like at like 11 o'clock, maybe 12 o'clock, noon, somewhere around noon. They took me to the jury suites in Paducah and left me downstairs for like a long time. It was nighttime when they finally got me out of that cruiser and took me upstairs. And when I was going upstairs, I passed Jeff then. And that's when they started interrogating me. And I kept telling them too, give me a lie detector test, give me a lie detector test. They would not give me no lie detector test. They kept, every time I said, give me the lie detector test, they would cut the audio off or whatever whatever device they was using to record me with. They would cut it off and then cut it back on. Cut it off and cut it back on. Yeah, they didn't ask me to They didn't ask me to use the bathroom. They didn't offer me nothing to eat or anything. I could have been dead in there. That's how long they left me down there.
So were you charged at this point, or was this just an interview, just trying to get information?
It was supposed to be. Yeah, they were supposed to just been talking to me, and they still didn't. They still didn't read me my rights until I got inside the room that they was interrogating me in.
When I first got approached, I guess I was at home one night. It's probably, I want to say around 10, maybe a little later than that. These two guys knocked at my door. They said there's a KBI and wanted to talk to me. So I let him in my house. At the time, I was married with 3 little kids. It was kind of late, but I let him in. I didn't feel like, I didn't know anything about this case. I didn't know anything about just occurrence. So, I didn't really understand why they were there to talk to me. So I let him in, and it seemed like as I listened to them or let them talk or whatever, it seemed like it just something didn't seem right. And they wanted, I think at that time they were saying something to me about taking a polygraph test. And at the time I'm like, y'all shouldn't even be here talking to me. I shouldn't have to take one. I don't understand. I'm like, let me talk to my uncle about it and I'll get back to you type stuff. I might be reliving their visit and a phone call. I can't remember exactly, but so they left, and I called my uncle because I knew he used to be a policeman, and I'm just like, I didn't understand. Do I need to get a lawyer? Do I need to take a polygraph test? What do I need to do? What am I supposed to do? Am I a suspect in this? I just didn't understand what was going on, and so I talked to my uncle, and he's like, no, you did the right thing. You're good. So just hold on. So some time went on. I want to say maybe a month and a half or something like that. And then I was working, and to come to the job I was at, the state police did and kind of did like what Tamara was talking about. Said, come with us. So anyways, I went with them, and really I should have just said, I want a lawyer, but I really didn't understand, I guess at that time, the degree of what them words really mean. Although I don't have anything then or now incriminating to say because I don't know nothing about it, I still should have asked for a lawyer instead of saying, just take me to jail, because that's what I ended up telling them eventually, just take me to jail, when I should have said, just give me a lawyer. But they also took me to the same, I guess, hotel she was talking about, Jury Suites or something like that in Paducah. They interrogated me for a long time in one of them rooms, which, there's videotapes somewhere, with all of that on there. Since day one, I've always maintained my innocence, because I know Tamara has as well. Because this is a made up story, man, and it's 2021, and I swear, it just doesn't make any sense to me how I went through this, she went through this, and Quincy is still going through this, and Mr. Kern still don't have justice for his daughter.
You mentioned the hotel and the suites there. There's a video on YouTube in which Nikki, I believe it's Nikki Brown, she's being interviewed, and then they lead you in handcuffs for her to identify you. Did you know that you were going to be going in there to be ID'd? Did they say anything to you beforehand?
No, I guess no. I didn't know they brought her in there to ID me, but I know she was in there talking, and the stuff she was saying was not true. So I was just like, why are you fucking, why are you lying? I didn't understand why you lying on me for what reason. It just kind of mind boggled me, because I never had sex with Nikki Brown, never messed with Nikki Brown. I know who she was, yeah, but I never messed with her or nothing like that.
Did you know who any of your other co-defendants were, including Isaac Benjamin and Austin Leach?
Me personally, I knew Tamara from school, and Rosie Christ, maybe from church when I was young, but I think she had a different name. I think it was Lynn Caldwell then. And I didn't know her as Rosie Christ, but I think I went to church with her when I was young. I don't think I really ever remember meeting Victoria Caldwell. I'm not saying I haven't, but I don't ever remember it. No offense, Tamara, but there's a lot of Caldwells, so I don't know
You're
all the
right.
different.
You're right.
I don't know all
You're
the
right.
different Caldwells. Quincy Cross, my co-defendant, who's serving life without the possibility of parole. I never met him, like, until the day we got arrested. We never hung out, never shook hands, never talked, never anything. And trying to think, Isaac Benjamin, I don't think I really knew him. I don't recall. Austin Leach, I did know him. But it's just amazing to me because, like, these aren't people that I ran around with at all. So, but.
Right. Austin Leach, I knew of him. I didn't hang around them. He hung around different people. I didn't hang around people. Isaac Benjamin, I knew that he messed around with Victoria. Him and Victoria went together. That's the only reason I knew him. And who else was it in there?
Venetia, Jeff, Quincy.
Venetia, I knew Venetia because she always walked around town. You always seen her around town. And Jeff, I knew Jeff from school. And that's about it. Nikki Brown, I went to school with her. Me and Nikki Brown was close. That's what I can't get why she turned on me like she did. Me and Nikki Brown were close. We went to school together. And that's it. I didn't hang out like it.
So Tamara, according to Carlos Saxton's testimony that he gave in court, there was an instance in which he was getting his hair braided at your house, and Quincy had showed up and intimidated him after learning that Carlos had implicated him in the murder of Jessica. Do you remember that incident taking place there?
Not at all. That's a whole lie. That never happened.
Was there an instance in which Quincy threatened you, Jeff, and others with a gun?
Never happened.
No.
At all.
So tell me about Victoria. Tell me, she was the star witness in the case and she got essentially 5 people convicted, including herself. Tell me a little bit about her character and, what kind of person she is. And
a liar. She's a habitual liar. The whole family is like that. All of them are like that. They're liars. They're good at it. That's what they're good at, lying and running.
If her and all these other people, lied to get all these people convicted, including herself, what do you think that her and the others, I guess there'd be 2, 3 plus people, what do you think they'd have to gain from lying about, this and putting, people in prison that didn't do a crime, especially a man that's, doing life without parole?
Money. Yeah. Because myself, I can't think why they would do something like that. That's the only thing that comes to my mind is money. They did it for the money.
Were either of you offered any type of money to testify or say anything?
Nope, not at all. And to my belief, I don't believe Victoria served a day in jail. I know Venetia served maybe 3 months in Pee Wee Valley, because when they were shipping me to Pee Wee Valley, I had to go in PC because Venetia told them that I was a threat to her. So they put me in PC because of Venetia.
Was that the entire time while you were on trial?
No. After I left Pee Wee, they shipped me to Otter Creek, which is like 8-9 hours away.
So that's while you were in prison then, that you were in PC?
Yeah.
Was that the entire time then, when you up until you got out?
No. I think I was in PC for maybe 30, 35 days, 40 days maybe. And after that, that's when they shipped me to Otter Creek.
Tamara, when your house was searched by law enforcement, was anything taken and logged into evidence? And if so, what was taken? Did they use that in court?
They didn't search my house. If they searched my house, the house that I was living in when they come arrested me, they didn't search this house. But supposedly they searched the other house on Broadway when I lived on Broadway. That's the house they're talking about. Supposedly they found blood or something in the walls or something like that. But that's a whole lie. They never went to Broadway.
And Jeff, when it came to searching houses, I was kind of confused because it says that the first house that was searched was William Burton, and that your first name isn't William, so I imagine that's one of your family members that had their houses searched first, correct?
I'm not sure about any houses getting searched, but my dad's name is William. Yeah. But I'm not sure of anything getting searched. I know there's not any the only thing I really know, man, is there's no, like I said, it's like from the beginning, like the only thing they ever have is somebody making a lie, just somebody saying something. There's actually nothing that will link me ever to it, to any murder, to Jessica Kern, anybody. I've never seen anybody killed, never partook. So all they have is what, the three girls lying on it.
Hearsay.
You said something about William Burton, and that's my daddy. I did live it when I grew up, probably around that time period in Mayfield. The house, if I'm not mistaken, got tore down like 2005, 2006, sometime like that. But it'd been vacant for a while. My dad had relocated to Northern Illinois. But here we are, this has been, 5, 6, 7 years after Jessica Kern had been killed, But I'm not real sure. There's no nothing as far as I know, man.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that there was evidence collected at the crime scene that never made it to the police department and or never made it to the trial of Jeremy Adams and Carlos Saxton, which I think left the statements as being the only evidence from what I understand.
Yeah, this is my problem, Andrew, is like, I know, okay, yes, I've always heard that there was evidence from the crime scene that did not make it to where it was supposed to make it to. Whatever that evidence is, I have no idea. Whenever Adams and Saxton were to go to trial or whatever, supposedly there was evidence for the case that came up missing. I don't know that to be true or false. I don't know personally because I wasn't there. I don't know, man. So for me, it's like Mr. Faulkner, my uncle, even probably Mr. Kern, and even Mr. Cross. They all, and probably Tamara could tell you more about whatever the hell, than what I personally know. If that makes any sense.
Make a lot of sense.
How did your arrest come about?
Well, like she was saying earlier, they had us in that hotel or whatever, the jury suite, interrogating and coming up with whatever they were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you weren't charged at that point, though, were you?
Right then, pretty much. You had to say that right after that was when we were charged.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, we left the hotel and went to jail. You know what I'm saying?
And that's when we were charged.
And so that's when Nikki Brown was there. Is that when all the statements were written and presented, and is that how it all came about? Here's the statements, here's these witness, videos. This is the evidence we have on you. You're being charged. Is that how it played out?
I believe so. Yeah.
Did you guys have any interaction with the KBI, KSP, and the Mayfield Police Department And if so, what was your experience with all three?
Um, they were. It wasn't so much the short one. I think the short one's name was Wise. I mean, the tall one was touching me up under the table. It was touching me on my leg, rubbing me on my leg, trying to calm me down. I wasn't going. They were terrible to me.
Did they make you any type of promises or anything if you would help them out?
Nope, none of that. Nope,
Did they ask for your help?
they were just trying to. No, they were just trying to. They were like saying, you did it, and you did this, and you did that, and you were here, and would show would pull out a paper, and then put it down on the table, and then take it back real quick. They were mean. They were assholes to me. But the little one, he wouldn't talk unless the taller one would talk. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. And I kept telling them, I don't know nothing. I don't know, what are you talking about? I don't know nothing. Yeah, that's how it went for me.
I only know about myself. It just sucked. Most of the stuff they got, I guess, is already recorded. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I still don't understand how they even was there to talk to me to begin with.
What were they saying to you? Were they telling you, we have your fingerprints, we have your DNA? What were they trying to say to you to get you to talk? Or
like, I can't even remember what all was said to me or not said to me personally. Because the main thing I was just trying to express was, I didn't do this. I am innocent. So I wasn't really hearing what they were really saying as far as, we got this statement, we got that statement, because I already know all of it's a lie, whatever it is. So I really ain't paying a whole lot of mind to that. I'm just more or less trying to push, I didn't do this. Y'all know I didn't do this. This is bull crap. That's kind of where I was at with it.
So were they saying people were lying, or were they telling you direct things like this, like somebody said you did this, and you did this at this time, or you took this swing and gave it to Quincy or gave it to Venetia?
So I don't really, myself, I don't really recall stuff like that per se. More of stuff with like Nikki Brown, they had her in there saying shit that wasn't true. And then Rosie Christ came in there saying stuff that wasn't true. And off the jump, at least directly to my face, you know what I'm saying? I was able to see them lying. So that's the kind of stuff it seemed like. I don't know what the detectives actually said to me personally. I couldn't really tell you. I ain't got a clue, man. Like I truly don't remember per se. I knew them girls was lying right there. It seemed like, I don't really get it, man.
So after you guys were officially charged, after you guys left that hotel or the suites, whatever it was, and were taken to the police department, what was that interrogation like? I mean, being that Venetia, Quincy, yourself, and Tamara, I guess in Victoria, we're all facing charges of murder, rape, abuse of a corpse, so on and so forth, which carried possible death sentences. I know for some people. What was the interrogation like there?
They really didn't. They put me, when they took me to the Graves County Jail, Mayfield Jail. They put me in a room and left me there. They only come and checked on me when they had to. They didn't interrogate me or anything.
I don't think they really tried to interrogate me or her, from what I understand, what she was just saying at the jail. I know for me, the very next day, I think I'd had a lawyer, and so all of that was, we in jail now. So,
just like Jeff was saying, the next day, I had a public defender come in there and say, "Don't you sign anything," because what's his name? That detective come in there. Oh, I can't think of his name. It was
Steger?
him and a lady. Yeah, Steger. That's his name. Him and a lady came in there and tried to get me to sign a paper. And that's when the public defender came and busted in the room and said, "Don't you sign anything." And Steger and the woman stood up and was like, "Oh, great."
And were they trying to play you guys against each other, you and Jeff?
Not then.
Were either of you offered any type of sentence reduction or immunity for that matter if you testified and said what went on, or turned state's
Nope.
evidence? Or
Not me.
No. I mean, because if I'm not mistaken, which I want to speak mainly for myself here, but like I said from the very beginning, maintain my innocence. So if you come at me with something like that, that's like, damn, why? I've done told you I'm innocent. So how am I going to sit and lie on somebody? Now I do remember when we were getting close to going to trial, actually right there at it, the lawyers did say, well, Tamara's going to say this against you, and I think they said the same to her about me. But, me personally, I wasn't really concerned with any of that because everything I'd heard already has been lies. So I wasn't really too concerned with any more lies added on to the other lies.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna go to trial, and I thought we had it because I know I didn't lie, and I know Jeff didn't lie. I thought we had it. I was ready to go to trial.
So there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this case, not only the convictions, the statements of all the witnesses, and of the how, when, and why the murder took place, and talk of public officials engaging in sex acts with underage girls in Mayfield, and drugs allegedly going missing from the police department and being given to civilians to sell. Do either of you have anything to say in regards to that, or wanting to speak on the statements written against you and the alleged corruption in that town?
It's awful. That's what it is. I don't see how they can pin something against people that they know didn't have a thing to do with this. I think they did it for so long around here in Mayfield that they just continue to do it because they know they can get away with it.
And Andrew, some of the stuff you're talking about I think it's some of the stuff that some of the investigators have talked about. Some of the stuff that they had uncovered, whether it be people messing with underage girls at the country club, or this. Like me personally, I don't know, so I don't want to sit here and act like I do know something that I don't know. You know what I mean? So I can't really sit here and speak on stuff that went on somewhere that I wasn't at. Because I think some of the stuff you was kind of referring to is some of the stuff that Nikki Brown was talking about in one of her interviews, where they were doing different stuff with, I guess, people high up in Mayfield. But see, she lied on me, so I don't know what, it's hard to believe anything they said when they lie. So I don't really know. The main thing I really realize is, for whatever reason, whether we were some throwaways or just some people that they thought whatever about, for whatever reason, Quincy Cross is in prison right now, and he shouldn't even be in there. Should have never been in there. I did 7 years, took an alpha plea, got 15 years, served it out. Should have never done not one day. Me personally, I've lost so much, not only, my family growing up without me and missing that time with them, or just trying to live and survive myself in a whole new world that I should not even been in. And even now, since I've been home since 2014 to 2021, so now here we are 7 years later almost, or almost 8 years later, and I just, it's mind-boggling to me how this has even happened to me, or is even still happening to Quincy Cross, or even the stuff that you experienced with this as well, Tamara, and
yes, I feel the same
and the more,
way.
And if you talk to the people that have really looked at the case and looked at whatever was just said or what's real or what's not real, it's just so insane, especially in such a town as Mayfield. And it really makes me have, no faith at all, not only in the police, period, but just the system itself.
So there was a name that keeps popping up in this case, and that's Susan Galbraith. Did either of you have any contact with her before your arrests? Jeff, from what I know, she was staking your dad's house out for months before your guys' arrest.
I have no idea. I lived in Paducah. That would be Mayfield. My dad wasn't living there, so I have no idea. Does that make sense, Andrew?
I met Susan. I didn't know of Susan until her and Shantae Todd, which is Jeremy Adams' baby mother. I braided her sister's hair one day, and Susan came over there with her sister, with Shantae Todd and her sister, and she tried to interview me then, ask me a little questions, and
Do
I
you
didn't
remember
tell her
what
nothing.
she would ask you?
She was asking me like when's the last time you seen Quincy, and how long have you lived in Mayfield, and all kinds of stuff.
And
And
was this the year? What year was this that she came into the picture and was asking you questions?
Oh, you know what? I think it had to be. Let's see. I lived on 15th Street. Probably, I say 2004, 2005, maybe.
And
Yeah.
I personally never knew her. But from what I understand, she was inside. They let her inside the crime scene,
Mhm.
which you're not supposed to do that. She's not the cops. She's not the police. She's not an investigator like that. So why was she in the crime scene to begin with?
Mhm.
And then from what I understand, whatever story it was that she ran with, she's the one who came up with this story. I don't know who helped her with it, but from what I understand, this whole story comes from her. But she is, she's dead now for health reasons or whatever. I don't really know.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, whether it's to protect somebody else, I don't know, to get money, I'm really clueless on why you would lie on to people like that, especially to the degree, because that's real lives that are really ruined, and that's real consequences to stuff that, we had nothing to do with.
How long were both of you in jail before you were shipped off to prison? Was it right away after being sentenced, or did you guys sit there for a while?
No, I was in, let's see, they took me from Graves County Jail to Fulton County. And when I got to Fulton County, I guess somebody called up there and said it was a threat made against me. And they moved me from Fulton County to Fulton. And then from Fulton, they moved me to Pee Wee Valley. And from Pee Wee Valley, they moved me to Otter Creek. And after Otter Creek, that's when I went to the farm, which is West WKC, CIW, one of them. I was in Crittenden County Jail for like 2 years.
Now I know when we were going to court and all that stuff before we took alpha plea, I think it was like probably 21 months, 22 months, close to 2 years, I believe. And then after we took the alpha pleas, I know for me it was probably a couple months before I got sent to the penitentiary. So I think I did they take you to, like, well, I don't know what it's called now, but the intake, where they shave your head and give you a shower and classify you and stuff. And I was there probably a couple months. And then I went to Western, and I was there probably about 18 or 19 months. And then I did the rest of my time at Green River Correctional Complex. So I served out a 15-year sentence.
What were your guys' experience like while you were in prison?
Which I know for me, which it sucks being incarcerated for something you did do. So it, magnify that for something you didn't do. It makes it that much, at least harder mentally, at least it was for me, and emotionally. knowing that I shouldn't even been there to begin with. So, you got that part to deal with. Then you got just the regular penitentiary stuff to deal with. My personal experience, I had a lot of support. A lot of people believed in me. So having a good support group helps out a lot. Like people come and visit me, different stuff like that. So that helped out a whole lot. Was able to have commissary, had a TV. But most of the places I went to, they had a lot of programs that you could get into to get 90 days knocked off your sentence, to get time reduced off of it. So whether it be like masonry or a kitchen class or, a lot of different stuff. So I try to take as many classes as I could to get my time reduced to getting out as soon as I could. So that's pretty much how I did mine.
Yeah, I was like you, Jeff. I just did what I had to do to survive, and I had a lot of support out there. Visits, it made up a lot of time.
I know for me, even now, it seems like the whole thing has been like an out-of-body experience. I don't even know if that even makes sense or actually what I even mean when I say that, but it almost seems, I don't know if that's my coping mechanism that I went through with that, but it felt like a whole out-of-body experience. Like I was watching it happen.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't, it's really hard to explain, man.
Yeah, it is.
So let me ask you this. I guess in both, Tamara and Jeff's scenarios. So in your mind, you guys know that you didn't do this and you're in prison. How do you deal with, say, a situation where, like, say, 2 or 3 sex offenders come by, like child, molesters or child rapists, something like that, and whether they're talking about their crimes or just doing really weird, odd, eccentric things, how do you get away from that in there when you really can at the same time? Like, how do you deal with that, knowing you're trying to get out and not trying to, add more time, knowing you didn't do something?
Add more, yeah.
It's kind of funny, man, because there was this one time I had a cellie, and I don't go around asking people what they're in for. I didn't want to see your time sheet. I'm just trying to do my time and go home, man. Right. But now, sometimes they would put somebody on blast or something, but I came in there by myself. Definitely. I came in there by myself. I'm going, I'm leaving by myself. So I didn't really get involved in a whole lot of politics, penitentiary stuff. If somebody was in there for some weird shit that I ain't cool with and I knew about it, I wasn't gonna mess with you. You know what I'm saying? I stay away from that type of people. So it's pretty much,
how I survived.
The people I was real cool with, they were really solid, good, genuine people, from what I could tell. So I didn't really mess with. I didn't really get involved with that, Andrew. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
How did you guys spend your time in prison?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain.
Well,
really,
I'll go first, dude. Well, like I'll say for me, like I said, I had a TV, so I was able to watch some TV. I read my Bible a lot. I had a lot of books, so I read a lot of books. At the penitentiary I was at, they had a place where you could work out. So I worked out, had a couple guys I worked out with. Like I guess time with them programs and classes, I was involved with that. A couple of years I played softball. You got a job, so I worked a job. It's different stuff to keep not only physically busy, but mentally busy as well. Get your routine.
Yeah, get that routine and stay with it. That's how you had that's how you had to do, because if not, you wouldn't been able to make it. You had to get a routine and stick to it.
So when both of you were finally released, what was it like transitioning for the first few years of being free?
Oh, I didn't know how to act. I was like, wow, this is that. They showed me a phone. I was like, I don't. What do you want me to do with this phone? Because I don't know what to do. I've been gone for so long. I don't know what to do with this phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a lot of changed from how it was. For myself, I did 7 years. When I got out, a lot of change. My kids had then grew up 7 years. Although I got to see them a lot through visit, it's still not the same as being there on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So they were they were a lot growner. At first it's real. I don't even know the feeling to explain. Surreal, almost like just I don't always watching around, but I know when I was incarcerated, I was trying to get myself to get better, not bitter, be better, not bitter, because I didn't want to have a whole lot of bitterness about this because I was innocent. I did all this time in prison. So I was trying to get better and not have the bitterness. But as time has went on, since I've been out of the penitentiary, I realized that there is still a lot of bitterness in there just because this makes no sense, man. So.
Yeah, at all. For the longest after I got out, you know what I did for the longest after I got out? I carried my toilet paper around with me for the longest. Yeah, and wore shower shoes.
I feel you there. No, I didn't do any of that. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
I did know. I did notice. Like job wise, it's harder to get. I was already a convicted felon, so but it made it that much harder to get a job type thing. And then it sucks because it's like most people, at least in Mayfield, know that we're innocent. At least I feel that way. That's what I've seen for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's like I was in there playing bingo in Paducah, and I'd seen one of the girls that lied on me. I want to say it was Rosie Christ.
It was Rosie. I just
went into I was going to play bingo, and I seen her, so I just brought all that right there up, to my right there. So I just started shaking all over and just started crying. I couldn't really control myself. I just was bawling, crying, just like, why'd you lie on me? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? But it's been at first it didn't seem like it was a hard adjustment, but as time went on, it has been a hard adjustment for me.
Yes, definitely.
Not necessarily from being in prison to
definitely
being out. Not necessarily from being in prison to being out of prison, but more of the reasons. If that makes sense, the reasons why.
Right.
Because we shouldn't have been there to begin with.
First place, right.
Quincy Cross is still there. Just having all that stuff like.
And plus, I didn't even know Quincy Cross until 2002. This stuff happened in 2000. How in the hell did I have anything to do with it? How the hell did Quincy have anything to do with it?
Have either of you had any type of interactions with the Curran family, Venetia? I know you've spoke to Victoria, obviously Tamara, since then. Jeremy Adams or Carlos Saxton since your releases?
Probably maybe 5-6 years ago. I spoke to Jeremy one time. Well, he spoke to me. I didn't speak to him. And I hadn't spoke to him since then.
What did he say to you?
And Venetia, I don't even talk to.
What did he say to you when he spoke to you?
He was like, he said, I know you didn't do that. And that's all I wanted to hear. And I walked upstairs.
That's all he said is, I know you didn't do it?
Yes, that's all he said to me. He was like, I know you didn't do it.
And like, I haven't seen Jeremy Adams. I haven't seen Lolo. I think I've seen Venetia once, that they brought her over to my uncle's house, I guess, to try to interview her because she was admitting that she lied on us. But I've seen her briefly there. I kind of got emotional. I didn't want to be around, so I left. Just because, girl sat there and lied on me and ruined my life. So I wasn't really ready to be in front of her. Mr. Curran, I think he's an awesome man. I can't imagine what he's endured these last 21 years. I hope he is able to finally get justice for his daughter. But man, we didn't do it.
Yeah, we did
like
not
Tamara
do it.
said, I didn't hang around her. I knew her from school, and at this time I'm 20 years old, so I hadn't seen her in a few years for real. And we wasn't like we was buddies in school. I just knew her from school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I didn't even know Quincy Cross, and but Mr. Curran, he's been to me really, it seemed like really awesome. I've had the interactions I've usually had with him have been at my uncle's house when we have like the little meetings and stuff, where we'll just talk about different things that's going on with the case and where we're trying to go with it and stuff like that. So we've seen him a few times with the meetings, probably 6-7 times, maybe something like that, maybe more than that.
I see Mr. Curran and Miss Curran all the time. We talk all the time.
So.
And there's no animosity towards you or them or anything.
Not at all. Not at all. Because they know we didn't do it. They know they got the wrong people.
I mean, it really don't take a whole lot to figure if you just really look under what the state try to say, if you really look a little deeper than that, it doesn't take much to see that not only is the case messed up, but the people that's in there, they shouldn't have even been in there. Right. And I don't mean to get off the subject on this, because it's kind of not off the subject, but a little bit off the subject. The damn lawyer that Quincy Cross had, the guy was sick while he's doing the trial. From what I understand, he can't keep his head up. He died shortly after.
Yes.
How can a man that's sick like that even give a proper trial, give a representation, for the defendant is beyond me, man. So it just seemed like we were kind of screwed from the beginning.
Yeah.
But like Tamara said, Mr. Curran, he knows, man.
Yeah, they know. They know.
And I just can't imagine what he goes through, went through.
And still going through.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we conclude this interview, is there anything either of you would like to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
Not for me. I mean, I think you covered like everything, basically. And I also want to say that I out of all of this, I want justice for Jessica. I don't want no money, no nothing. I just want justice. And I want Quincy to be free. I want my name cleared.
Yeah, that's just somebody to really take a look at this, man, and see that the injustice that was done, whether it was something going on down there at that country club with some high-end people, with police corruption, whatever the situation is, we didn't do it. We didn't.
No.
So it don't take much to see that, man. All you gotta do is open your eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
All they had was these 3 girls made up this, for whatever reason they're saying this story that was made up. If I'm not mistaken, most of them have admitted to lying, and that's all you have against us is somebody saying something. I still don't understand how hearsay, which is supposed firsthand, testimony from supposedly this, that, it doesn't make any sense, man. And I know myself and Tamara both have maintained our innocence from the very beginning. I spent 7 years in there, and I'm not sure exactly how long Tamara was in there, but I was in there 7 years. Quincy Cross was still in there, and all this is over.
I was in there. I was in there 5 years, 8 months, and 2 days.
5 years, 8 months, and 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So our kids have suffered. We suffered.
Grown.
Still suffer, man.
We won't never ever get that time back.
never get that time back. That's right.
Nope.
And I don't know, for me, it just kind of created for me in my life, like I call it like the big sad. It's just kind of like, it took 7 years of my life away, man, over something I had nothing to do with, knew nothing about.
Yeah.
When I tell you,
don't have a,
when I tell you we're
look-
innocent, man, there's no smoking, there's no smoke and fire close to the, there's nothing,
right
it doesn't make any sense
at all.
So I just hope somebody can actually, they can help us to see this and look into it for themselves. I mean, there's so many different interviews and this, that, and other that's on the internet, and even stuff that you've already got, Andrew. It's unreal, man. Especially in a small
it's like
town,
like the dumbest a dumb person can look at this case and be like, what?
That was my interview with Jeffrey Burton and Tamara Caldwell. Thank you for listening.
Unforbidden. Truth. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast. Unforbidden. Truth.